Hello, everybody. As usual, I always start out by saying, "Let us know if you can hear me," or give me a wave. That's my signature. What's it? Hello, YouTubers. It's more like a hi, everybody. Can you actually hear me? Oh, can somebody give me a shout out or a wave if you can? Yeah. So today, for our quick Q&A session, we have Dedrin with us. And Dudrin had a question that he wanted to ask, so we wanted to kind of bring this up a bit too, because Dudrin was working on like a animation type of project. So Dudrin, do you want to give us a little bit of information about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. And yes, respond to you. I can hear you. So I think we're good in that sense. So
Perfect.
yeah, so howdy y'all. My name is Deadren Snead. I am a local content creator and writer here in Atlanta, Georgia. I work with a studio of my own founding, was called Green County Creative, now called Subsume, which is an inclusive transmedia platform for art, media, animation, and social innovation. And yeah, so I write mainly on a comic series that I have called Sorghum and Spear, to which we had some animation opportunity and work. And from there today, I'm looking at better integration of animation on YouTube and over social media, kind of in more bite-sized type of content.
Nice. Do you want to show them your work real quick first? So a little bit.
Oh, oh, sure. Let's see if we can kind of go through these folders. So I'll go ahead and show the screen here. Let me just put again, my work is at Sorghum and Spears, sorghum and spear.com. I'll go ahead and kind of show you where we have a little bit of that if I turn this around the right way. All right. Let's see. So I think here we want to just show a tab. Oh, too many tabs. All right, so I think we've got it here. All right, so I'll just share the screen. There we go. All right, so I've got a fantasy series. If you
Let's
get a
see.
chance to.
I think you have to present now first on the bottom right.
Oh, there you go. And then now I have to hit share one more time. Let's see. Chrome's to share. Yep, there you go. I just select share. So I think we've got it now, maybe.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right. So with that, I've got a fantasy series called Sorghum and Spear. It's an African fantasy about young girls who grow up during the time of monsters and learn how to beat them up. So this has been my largest work to date, where it's had a chance to kind of work with Michelle Nichols from the original Star Trek, as well as Rhapsody and a couple other content collaborators, where we normally go around to conventions and kind of show and share our books. From there, trying to see if we can show like the very quick animatic. So we have an anthology series. So basically, we invite creators both for writing and for art to come in and basically add their portion to that. So this is kind of where we are. And if you type Sorghum and Spear, Sorghum and Salt for videos. This is like an animatic that we did. It's about 2017, and kind of what brought me to my question today, where it's just uh, a great opportunity to kind of work with a studio, Pixel Pirate, who has gone on to a lot of cool things. They work more in that, but I'll be quiet and let this kind of play through. So with that, again, we got this option by a studio called Pixel Pirate Studios, who then took us out and about over the past year to try to get this made into an animated series. So we kind of made the rounds out in California, and from there have been on the constant and consistent goal of trying to bring this into an animated project. So I'm kind of learning on the fly a lot of these things, and here today to kind of look at another project, not Sorghum and Spear specifically, that I'm working on. I'll kind of see if I can show a couple of files here on that very quick. Again, forgive all of the junk here, but thought I had it all cleaned up. Here we go. I've got a project that I'm kind of showing you guys for the first time called Soul Nebula, and it's basically a series that's based in outer space. And so this is kind of my Star Wars, or and so for here we're working on trying to bring some animation to this as far as a promotional tool. So this is like a couple of the actual pages that we've been working on in secret. But long short, the story is that a group of humans went out into space, and a group of humans stayed behind on Earth. And 400 years later, they have to try to reconcile as the universe is being destroyed. So this is a storyline that now I'm trying to bring more. And I'll stop sharing here. I guess just well, I'll do one other thing. To kind of look to move the storyline forward, we have some original music. And so when I think of original music and animation, I think of this lady. And so, of course, looking at like local hip hop, right? So my thought and question is maybe this might be a great platform to kind of not only put just YouTube content out, but again, maybe to make a channel that has something like this where we kind of have the constant and consistent feedback. And again, if we kind of look to the right, this is, I think, the goal, right? So you have people watching, you have people interacting. We have a level animation, but that's kind of my question now of, for a small studio, is this viable? Is this something that we could build ourselves or look to work within our local community or branch out through our Seafood friends and family to try to make that?
Okay.
So,
So I think there's a two-part question here first. I think the
yep,
first question was how to work remotely. You say
yep,
right in this particular time
mm-hmm,
where you're
right,
trying to get your animated project going, but
right.
also like everybody's kind of remote and stuff. And the second part is
Exactly.
if you want to be streaming to audience building, like kind of like a pathway to get more audience. How do you do it? Should you
Hmm.
try to get on YouTube, make bite-sized contents and stuff like that? So
Exactly.
I would say for the first part of the question, when you're trying to work remotely, and the thing is, a lot of like smaller studios or even the bigger studios have been doing this right now. It's mostly about organization and
Right.
also creating terms of agreement so that everybody kind of understands what they're working on. So creating a term of agreement basically is something where you kind of have a structure for your people where you say, hey, everybody, we are going to be working from this time to this time. I will be replying my emails and I will be checking my emails on this day. Maybe
Hmm.
something like every Monday we have a morning dailies where you can schedule 5 minutes of your time to talk to your group and come up with an agreement of, hey, we're, what is everybody working on? Does anybody have any issues and problems? And kind of do that. And like every Wednesday, it could be something like scheduled where it's like we're gonna do this group briefing or something like that. So you want to first create like a mini structure of agreement based on the type of project you're working on. If your project is something that is a little bit smaller, like just 2 or 3 minutes long animation versus a series
Right.
kind of thing, there's going to be a different structure. But everything depends on like prototyping first. First,
Right.
you're gonna also have to agree on what platform you're gonna communicate, where you're gonna put your things, and also somewhere that you can actually take a look at the different modes of communication. This depends on if you already have a project set up. Like some studios will use platforms like Shotgun or like F-Track or different platform like Monday.com. Some of the
Hmm.
free ones out there that I can definitely like suggest would be more like Jira or I would say even I use a lot of Airtable. Like
Right.
a mash of like Google calendars to schedule things out, and also yeah, Airtable is a very big one. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Airtable, but I can show you like the promo that we've been working on for ASIFA as well too. Our spot opening, just like the
Right.
back office of well, not show you like the whole stuff, but all like how we kind of like try to organize it, and also like a chat platform, like something like Slack.
Mhm.
Usually works pretty well so that when people have questions they can get it answered, and then people can set their notification to whether they're away or whether they're in the chat or not as well too. So I think that's one of the things for sure that you can start doing is communication. Yeah. The
Great.
the second part would be like when you're working from home, people do definitely get a lot of distractions, and this is personal, so it depends on each of the people. If you're having problems concentrating, set a timer of some sort. But the easiest thing to do is those daily catch ups. Because if you start with the daily catch up, everybody kind of like knows that, hey, maybe I need to wake up on time.
That's right.
Yeah, if you decided, how we'll do a daily catch up at 11, 10 or 11, then at least you know that everybody will be up at that time, until a certain time to be able to communicate as well too. Um, then the second part is having a platform to add in your files. So, like a Google Drive of some sort where you're making sure that like we have naming conventions. So when people are working on the files and checking the files out, they're all naming it the same way. Because one of the issues that you may have when you have a lot of people touch different things is versioning. When somebody comes in and they do the rough part of the animation, and someone else comes in to do a cleanup, then you have to agree on a naming convention. Are you going to say version 2, like underscore? Are you going to archive the old file? Or like put an underscore, the people's initial after the file's names, so that you know who the last person that touched it was. This really depends on how many people you have working on your team. So like sometimes you want to keep the names a little bit shorter, but enough information that you think that you have like different things that are kind of relevant to what you need. So I would say that that's gonna be the first thing that you're gonna be looking at for sure. So for example, like I said, we have our spot promo here. So let me move here. Can you see my screen?
Let's see. Get back
Oh
to it
wait,
on my
let
side.
me present now first. My entire
There you
screen.
go.
Share. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So these aren't supposed to be super long Q&A, so I'm just going to do really short run-throughs with this. So for
Hmm.
example, when you have your agreements, you can say things like, oh, I have my assets, like you put notes into them.
Hmm.
You can say, oh, who is this shot assigned to? The references that you may need, you want to put in references of things that you want to put in, because otherwise, people will have a different kind of idea of what you're looking for. Then you can
Right.
also have like like your background names, what scene is it for, little thumbnail shots if necessary, and work in progress. We have a separate one for assets and animation, because when you're animating now, you're creating different animation movement. Assets are usually assigned a lot to illustrators, and the shots we could be like, is it assembled or is it not assembled, or if it's canceled yet, or where the file location of the different things might be. So we're like, okay, this is located in like a certain drive file. The other thing that we also have as well too, other than this, is instructions. And this is depends on whether you already have people who are working on a pipeline already or without one. Because if you have some, you're working without a pipeline, you may need to create instructionals. So in the instructionals, it'll be like what are they working on? Like where are the resources located? Where the Airtable list is, what the file structure is, what kind of naming convention. Tell them to never delete a version file.
Mm.
What the style of the background is like. So you put in different references. What the different color palettes might be. What brushes they want to use. For colorists, what kind of color palettes you're looking for, and like a little demo of where things are located and how the background files and all the files are set up, type of thing. And like for the different props, character color palette, and then also if it's for characters, you have your character turnaround sheets and things like that as well too. So we're looking at what you call having a setup, like agreements, having instructionals for people to work on. So that's
Hmm.
definitely going to be the first thing, the big key to working remotely, because you're not in the office. People can't just usually turn around, but we do have Google Hangout. We do have like Zoom, Skype. We have online platforms. So those are things that you can definitely utilize to kind of have a head start with working with something to get your
Oh.
remote stuff set up as well too. Does that help?
Oh
Okay.
no, absolutely. Yeah, that's tremendous, and I think that transcends not only just from an animation standpoint, but a lot of other media things that we do, just from written work, kind of call outs and things like that. I
Yeah.
think the point of the structure. of the agreement, and kind of make sure that's a concise and consistent
Yes.
thing to refer back to.
And the
Seems to be a great
Yeah,
opportunity.
and one of the big things that will be important, especially in a digital pipeline, that a lot of people might not be aware of, is file
Mhm.
size. So when we're talking about file size in terms of previews, you like sometimes when your animators are putting up animated shots, you want them to condense it, not like send you a hard preview file because it might be like many megabytes, gigabytes, and stuff like that too. So usually in our instructional, we will also tell them, and you can see this my entire screen here real quick. I will present here is that you'll see this thing called Handbrake. It's free. Usually, I ask people to handbrake the file because when you drag it and drop it, the file size comes out like maybe one fifth less or 1/10, 100 less, and
Oh, nice.
it's mainly to keep a quality control on previews because previews are sometimes you don't need the highest quality. You just need something that, hey, does this look right with you, and then they can
Yeah.
give feedback. You can also, if you're more sophisticated or getting to a level, you can also choose a review platform. Like for example, if you have a Vimeo Pro, stuff like that as well too, you could
Hmm.
always ask them to upload it to Vimeo Pro where you can add in notes. Or like another platform is called Sync Sketch, which is free, and this is for. Let me show you my entire screen again too. Sync Sketch. So for Sync Sketch, you can upload videos and kind of have like make little notes on them. And this is great for like if you want to do specific animation critiques, and you can
Hmm.
say at like a certain frames like, oh, here, change this, change that, and stuff as well too. So that's like Sync Sketch, but of course, it really depends on what your needs are. Because I'm not going to tell a studio that needs a secure pipeline to use all these free things. They have their
Right.
own choice of like shotgun and stuff like that. But for smaller
Hmm.
independent projects, this could be like there's different tools you can consider. Or if you're like, oh, you know what, I want to start investing in a smaller amount of money for certain things, then you can start prioritizing what is going to be paid or not. So I think that's the first key is for a smaller studio, if you think that you're an independent project but you don't need such a high security type of thing, then
Hmm.
you want to go for something where it's available to you first. Yeah. So these are like review portals that you want to think about. So that's the first part of the question. Second part of the question would be if you're trying to like think about content in terms of like going the not the network route but straight to people kind of content as well too. Should you
Yeah.
consider something like YouTube and stuff? Well, the main thing is if you're looking to monetize, you need to have at least a certain number of subscribers on YouTube. So this question keeps changing based on the the things that change with the different platforms you're looking at as well too. Because like recently for ASIFA ourselves with our marketing director Josephine, we've been looking
Hmm.
more into TikTok. There have been some places, some studios that have been doing behind the scenes studios on TikTok, showing the work process, and they have a really quick following on there. Because I mean, even Josephine with her mom, they were doing some spiritual, who's as a spiritual guidance thing.
Hmm.
Within like almost a couple weeks, they've gathered around 15,000 followers on their platform, and right now she's working to monetize her T-shirts and stuff too. But I think that's the main thing is TikTok has a way where you can actually get gifts from people directly, and it's the
Hmm.
gifts are translates into money as well too. So now you're looking at different platform and you're talking about bite-sized content. You want to check out
Right.
the different demographics, but of course that depends on how like what you put out there. You want to look at a similar kind of content that's already out there to see how to manage it. Like for example, certain things that you could always stream as well is like on Twitch. If you wanted to do that format of like a longer version than a TikTok or a 1 minute version. And when you're looking to say like, oh, there's a couple things that we've been actually looking at, and that might be something that comes up a little bit later. But we've been talking to Reillusion, which is another software company, and they do
Mm.
live motion capture, webcam capture animation. So here, I'm gonna just pull this up real quickly.
Nice.
But basically, when you're talking about this, you can make animated characters that you can stream, like to people. Like have you seen like our cartoon president? the our cartoon president. You know when also like when the Simpsons were streaming live.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh,
You know, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So actually, we're looking at embarking on making content that is actually live. So it's like my cartoon president. Show you a quick clip, real quick. You don't have to see everything, but yeah, basically they use Adobe character animator. But what we're looking right now is a cartoon animator by uh, Reillusion. They do 3D and 2D as well too. So let me just type in cartoon animator 40. Mainly, we're talking about this because the program itself, perpetual license, is $99. So it's quite affordable in terms of like
Yeah.
mocap live action kind of thing as well, and very versatile. You can even see some of the stuff that some YouTubers have like created already too. So they've been working on YouTube content, or even this is also made in a cartoon animator as well too. And like yeah, so if you're looking at something which is YouTube based, the main thing is how fast can you create something, you know,
Right.
how much can you do this. And this is like somebody who's doing voiceover, so they created some like mini cartoons, and then they just do voiceover for their stuff as well too. Yeah. So I think it depends on the tools that you're going to be using and the platform you're going to be using. Because if you're going for traditional animation route and you're thinking of putting out bite-sized content, you're going to have to really consider what that content is and if people are going to be interested in it and how long it's going to take. Because you know, like a couple seconds of like animation could take a week, depending on the
Right.
quality as well too. So now you wanna start thinking like if you want what you really want to be putting out there, and what are you trying to drive with your brand as well. Yeah.
No, that's all fantastic. And to your point, and I think something to consider, like you said, is the not turnaround for maybe the initial project, but maybe the pipeline for consistent things. Like, for example, a TikTok, where again, you're giving like these bite-sized portions of animation or content that that ideally you can constantly, consistently meet. But if we're looking at something more long form, then to your point, not it's just not about doing that one, but what can you do as kind of the encore, the next step to keep that audience
Yeah,
engaged.
because
So that I
everything is
think
also about marketing, but also you know, even when we say, oh, you know, TikTok is a platform, it's nice to just talk about it.
right.
But there's things like the TikTok calculator as well too. So
Mm,
let me present my screen, entire screen again. Let me see if you can see this again too. So for
okay.
example, like there's this influencer marketinghub.com. They even have an influencer
Mm,
engagement and earning estimator calculator as well too. So it's like, oh, TikTok marketing for beginner, you know, how you market things, but it all depends on what your content is, which is different too. And then you can even enter your
mhm.
TikTok name to do an estimation of the rate of engagement and like how much money usually people are making. And so like I would say that like something like this starts off like pretty simple to kind of look at the calculator.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then they even like do some type of breakdown to let you know, like to calculate from the social rate of engagement, as well as what your purpose of having it there is. Is it direct to consumer? Is it to gather interest for your pilot or whatever as well too? Because these are
Mhm.
all the questions that are going to matter in what you choose, because you can do many things in different many ways, but they're all like you use energy on everything. So
Mm.
the question is, where do you want to use your energy now?
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Do you have any other questions you want to ask about this?
No, I mean, I think to that point of being able to try to set something up, or again, looking at the initial phase of setting up the organization of the project, I think that's the step we really needed to take to then start off and then be able to approach an animator or animators for exactly what the structure agreement is. But I think from there, taking a look at it the second way for the second part of the conversation of to which platform, which again I think YouTube may be a default for a lot of things, but like you're saying, but kind of looking at what the current base is as far as things like TikTok
Yeah,
or Instagram or these other things to kind of now be able to reevaluate exactly what might be the best place, the best home to start this thing out. So
definitely.
especially, yeah, especially as we're trying to be the thing I think right now the core thing is to build an engaging audience that when we do have a tangible project or product to offer, that it's easy
Mm.
to monetize that engagement.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of where we want to look at as the next phase as well.
Because even with the YouTube, some a lot of contents they're like, oh, you need to have 10 minutes of content, and then it's like, does that mean that you're going to be able to create 10 minutes of content each time you upload a video, or do you want to show things like behind the scenes and stuff? So it all depends really, like on what you want. Like it's always good to have a YouTube just to show like content, even if you can't monetize it, so that you can redirect your audience back to a certain platform you might have, or you might want to do it to drive consumers to another Kickstarter. Those are
Right.
all valid points as well too. So that requires kind of thinking about what you're doing that's successful now, who your audience
Mm.
are that are like the 80% of the audience now that are engaging into your campaign, and how you can get more of those audience, or tap
Mhm.
into the people who will actually the kind of audience you want to help you generate what you need. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I think that's it. Mainly, we ourselves are still exploring stuff. So once you start getting going with your thing, let us know. Check back in with us and let us know how it goes.
Of course, and always. So no, thank you so much, Ginger, and thanks so much for everybody for tuning in and the support as always. So I look forward to it.
Awesome. Okay, now the thing I need to do is figure out how to close this live video out as usual. Yeah, you would think that since I've been doing this for quite a while, that I would like be able to do this really well. But the Facebook platform changed again, so
Mm.
that's something. Okay, I found it. Okay, so everybody, thank you. Bye bye. And
Yep. Thank
yeah, if
y'all.
you have any questions, don't forget to leave it with us. We have a Discord channel I want to point out. So join our Discord channel, and we're putting lots of announcements and things in there as well as sometimes we have guests that come in to talk and have a chat with us. Usually like some VisFX people, or like animators, previous people as well too. So come join us, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, thanks, Deadren.
Of course. Of course.
Okay, ending.